The fact you're here watching this means you're thinking about buying a Steam Deck OLED. You've watched the reviews, scrolled Reddit, maybe even added it to your cart once or twice, but still there's a voice inside your head that says, will I actually use it? Will it fit into my life? Or is it just going to be another expensive device that ends up in a drawer? I've had the Steam Deck OLED for a full year now, and in this video I'll share what it is really like for me to live with it. Not just the specs, but how it changed when, where and why I play games, and how it genuinely added something very valuable to my life. And maybe that is going to help you finally decide if this is worth it for you as well. A year ago I bought this, the Steam Deck OLED. And I didn't know it then, but this little device would completely change the way I play games, the way I feel about games. In fact, I wouldn't even be talking to you right now on this channel if it wasn't for this thing. But let's rewind, because if you're anything like me, gaming hasn't always felt so easy. Here's the thing, I always loved gaming, but at some point it started feeling difficult. After a long workday, turning on a giant TV and diving into a 50 hours RPG felt more like a task than a joy. I was hooked into my PS5, sitting in front of this huge 65-inch screen, and somehow I felt guilty, because 1 hour of gaming or more felt like too much. Like I had to justify it. And in all honesty, seeing one of my favourite pastimes ever that I've always used to decompress, and to a certain degree I've always used to escape as well, and to just free my mind from other thoughts, seeing that turn into something that was giving me guilt wasn't very pleasant. But then the deck came and it changed all of that pretty instantly, because I didn't need to plug in any HDMI cables anymore, boot a TV, or feel like I was wasting time. Now I could just play anywhere. Quick session in bed, 20 minutes break in the kitchen while I'm waiting for food to be ready, even during travels. So suddenly gaming wasn't a commitment anymore, but it started to turn into what I've always wanted it to be. It started to become freedom. So one of the biggest reasons why I love video games has always been the sense of immersion that I get from video games. I love the atmosphere, I love the visuals, I love the fact that if you're playing a good game, you can really get lost in a completely different world, with its stories, with its characters, all beautiful, all made of pixels. I really like that, and it's a great way for me to just not think about anything else. And sometimes you can think that's a good thing or a bad thing, but sometimes that's just what I need and what I really cherish. And maybe you think that that's not possible on a small screen. Maybe you think it's only possible if you do that on a 65-inch screen. But let me tell you, it isn't the case. It is absolutely possible, and it is one of the best ways to get lost and to get absorbed into that beautiful world of video games, doing it on the Steam Deck. In fact, just putting on some headphones and, sitting down, laying down on the couch or wherever, it just brought me back in a way to when I was a kid, laying on the floor or sitting in mum's car in the back on a long journey playing the Game Boy or playing a Game Gear. So it isn't less immersive, it's actually more personal, and to me this is one of the coolest tricks that this little machine is able to pull off, because it brings you really close to your games, and for me it even adds a little touch of nostalgia. And then I discovered Steam itself, and keep in mind that I come from a console background, so I was used to just going out and buying games, either new or used, or using the PlayStation store, but being always limited to that specific ecosystem. With Steam, I started discovering thousands of titles, old classics, indie gems, games that I missed, games I never finished, and I started really exploring. Not because I had to keep up, but just because I wanted to explore and I could explore, just because the Steam store is frankly great. So I stopped chasing performance with games, only wanting to play the most amazing AAA games, and I actually started chasing curiosity. There's another wild part about this story, and it is the fact that this little machine is effectively a computer. It doesn't run Windows. You could technically put it on there if you wanted, but that's a completely different story. But it runs Linux, and it is actually a very flexible little computer, which actually gave me the flexibility to start experimenting a lot, which I couldn't do on the console before that. So I started trying mods, emulators, desktop mode. Even the games give you the chance to actually tweak and change graphical settings a lot more than a console does. And yes, it meant that I have barely touched the PS5 ever since, so this one wasn't just a console replacement, it was something new, something very flexible. If you want to see a full unboxing or an in-depth review, I've made a couple of videos about that, which you can go and check right after this one. And by the way, as you can hear, I rather like the Steam Deck, but I have to say something else. Because of the Steam Deck, I didn't just reconnect with gaming. I actually started creating again, and it was in fact this very channel, Play Fever, which exists because of this little machine. The moment I hit publish on my very first video, which was about the Steam Deck, I felt like starting a brand new chapter. It gave me the push that I needed to start creating, and now I'm here sharing that joy with you. And by the way, if you enjoy this video and you want to keep supporting the channel, please leave a like and hit subscribe, because it genuinely makes a lot of difference and it helps the channel to grow and me to keep making these videos. Now, is the Steam Deck OLED perfect? No. It's not the most powerful machine. There's way more powerful machines out there, and there is a constant evolution in the handheld market, which is very interesting to follow. It has its quirks for sure, but is it one of the most flexible, freeing, and I dare to say human gaming devices I've ever used? Yes, absolutely. And when we look back, I really believe that in a few years down the line, we're going to say that this little machine really changed gaming. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this is really going to help you make that decision about the Steam Deck or Steam Deck OLED. And by the way, if you're still wondering, is it going to be worth to get it in 2025? Well, there's another video I made just for that. But that will be it for today. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.